Hello and welcome back to Animation, where today we're going to be looking at my reaction highlights of One Piece episode 14, 15 and 16. Yes, I did this many episodes because I was supposed to have a 10-hour stream last night. I was actually supposed to have that same 10-hour stream like 2 weeks ago. I had internet issues. They were resolved, and then last night I was gonna do the 10-hour stream, and then there was internet issues again. So just FYI, I live in South Africa, and our services, general services and infrastructure, and I don't know what you call it, is not the best in the world. It's pretty shit. Plus, I live in a very small town, so yeah, I don't have many options of ISPs. So I'm pretty much stuck with what I have, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. So yeah, my job is pretty much dependent on them and what they do, and they don't really give a fuck. So I'm just like, well, I can't stream tonight. Anyway, so since I planned to do the 10-hour stream and then I wasn't able to do it, I had 10 hours open. So I ended up doing 3 episodes of One Piece, and yay! Before we get into the reaction highlights, I just want to give a big shout out to Black Blade, a new level 4 patron. Thank you so much for supporting me. I asked you if there's anything that you want me to promote, social media, even if you have like your own YouTube channel. And Black Blade said, I'm just here to support you. And that's just so super nice. So thank you so much. A lot of my other patrons have actually said the same thing. Some of them I know, and that's why I put their Twitter up. But really, most people don't even care. Everyone's just like, it's fine, I'm just here to support you. You can share my stuff if you want, but no need to. And that's just my mind. People are just so kind. The world is filled with so many good people. I just need to focus on those people compared to, you know, the haters out there, because you'll always get those people. It doesn't matter. You can just breathe and they'll be like, no, you're doing it wrong. He could have killed her by now if he wanted to. Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? You motherfucker. I shouldn't have done 3 episodes. I should have just done the last 2 episodes and ended it on a good note, and now it ends here. I thought the last episode was, I thought that was the end of this day of Captain Kuro, and no, now you show me this, and now, can't do another episode though. I have to edit stuff. Okay, it's time for the review. Episode 14, 15, and 16. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to do more than 3 episodes per video. Mostly I'm gonna still be doing 2 episodes per video. The reason is because I talk a lot, I think a lot, I theorize a lot, and my reviews might just end up being way too long for a YouTube video if I watch more than 2 or 3 episodes. But if I stick to my notes and I don't digress too much, I think I can make the review at least 30 minutes. Hopefully not more than that. The first thing I wrote in my notes for episode 14 is, yay Nami, she was so great in this episode, even if it was all for the sake of her treasure. So episode 14 I think was the one, because now the 3 episodes are just basically one big episode in my head, so I'm trying to remember what happened where. But I think episode 14 was the one where she stepped on Luffy's face, and yeah, her drive was pretty amazing, and I really appreciated it. I really liked her. I'm really trying to like her as a character. She does have a lot of redeemable points, but in episode 15, 16, I don't know. We'll get to that part in my notes. I took a few notes from the fandom page. The first one was, in the anime, Luffy catches Django's ring in his teeth. However, in the manga, it strikes Luffy in the back of his head. So I have to say, on this fact, I really prefer the anime version. I actually like that they changed it. I thought it was a really cool moment when he caught it in his teeth. That whole scene with Nami was actually great. How she stepped on his face and then he threw the thing and I was panicking, and then he pulled her foot out from underneath her and she fell and he got up and then ding in his teeth. That was just like a great scene. I actually believe, like, a lot of these scenes in this arc has been amazing. Not just the scenes, the action scenes, like the animation and the movement, and it's very dynamic. It's very, it really keeps my attention every second. I really love it. But not just that, also the sound effects. The sound effects has been amazing. I really enjoy, like, it's old school. Like, you can hear it's these old school sounds. It's not like a newer anime where... Wow. Yeah, okay, so there's a bird outside. We have a bird, and it enjoys when I talk. It likes to talk with me. Anyway, as I was saying, in newer anime, it's all about the music. It's actual songs playing. But this is real background sounds. And I actually love it so much. Like, I can get the old school feel of it. But it's like, really, these sounds, they're like intimidating. Like, when I'm supposed to feel intimidated by Kuro, I feel really intimidated by Kuro because the music, everything accompanies, and like with the humor, the sound effects that go along with the humor makes it even funnier. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this arc. I see a lot of people saying that the early stuff is actually not that great compared to the newer stuff, but for someone like me, I'm not gonna know. I don't have anything to compare it to. So for me right now, I'm really enjoying everything. I get that I could compare it to other anime and maybe that's why people were worried that I wasn't gonna like it because it's slow or it's like older. But I don't when I watch one anime, I enjoy it for what it is, you know. I don't necessarily need to compare it to Attack on Titan season 3. Like, I don't need the same level of animation, especially with an anime like One Piece, which is really the story is everything. But I think I say something more on that in the notes later. So the second note that I made from the fandom page is, apparently in the 4Kids English dub, the gun Kaya pulled out of her coat is edited out and replaced with Usopp's slingshot. Although I think that is great how they changed the gun to the slingshot for the kids, I'm so glad that we got to see Kaya hold the gun and at least try to shoot Kuro. The conflict within her, like her love for Kuro and yet being forced to see him for who he really is, this evil pirate, is portrayed really well. And even though I felt like, oh my gosh, girl, shoot him, and I even saw some people in the comments get frustrated with her, calling her weak and I don't know what else. Even though I felt that, I know how hard it must be for her since she lost her parents and for 3 years he was like a father or an older brother to her. I really hate Kuro, but that makes him actually such a great villain. Oh, and here I made a note on in the comments, seeing how people are hating on Kaya. Seeing a lot of people hate on Kaya, don't really think they understand her, to be honest, but whatever, let them think what they want. They're not realizing how manipulative Kuro is as a villain, how he manipulated her in the past. Once again, I do talk more about that later in my notes. Kuro is such an amazing villain, to be honest. As much as I dislike him, he's a great villain for the same reasons. For the very same reasons why I hate him, that's what makes him such a great character. Because he's a villain, because he's the antagonist. We're not supposed to necessarily like him. He's very complex and his level of intimidation is over 9,000. He hated being with Kaya and having to make her happy just so he can get her fortune one day. But he loved being admired by the townspeople. That's where the conflict comes in. Like, he really hated Kaya. He doesn't have a shred of compassion for her. But at the same time, he craves that tranquility of, you know, being with the townspeople and being looked up to and admired by them and loved by them and trusted by them. So he doesn't just want her money, he wants to be loved and adored too. He kind of like wants it all, fortune and unconditional love and admiration. But who stands in the way of all of that? Kaya. And that's where that real hatred for her, why he has not a shred of compassion for her, comes from. It stems from that, the fact that she's the one that's standing in the way of his plan being carried out perfectly. Like, she needs to die for him to realize his dream. From a utilitarian point of view, Kaya should be forced to not only give up her fortune, but her life. This is something that I point out in the anime while I was reacting to the episode. I remember saying something like, oh, but if this was Dororo, we just have to give Kaya up. The best decision would be, you know, give Kaya to Kuro and the people will be happy. So let me explain. Giving Kaya to Kuro and letting him kill her and then take her fortune would bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people. The town will be safe and happy and none the wiser. They wouldn't know, they wouldn't care. Ignorance is bliss, right? So clearly it makes sense to just, let him kill Kaya. Everyone doesn't win, but more people are safe. So that has to be the right thing to do, right? I brought up Dororo in my episode 14 reaction because it frustrates me so much when people argue that Daigo or Sabame did the right thing by feeding innocent children to demons in exchange for safety and prosperity. And then I said, no wonder the world is so fucked up. People would rather live as demons themselves before dying for the right thing. And that's why I love those 3 little kids so fucking much. It didn't matter that they were 3 and she was just 1. It didn't matter that they were scared. They were willing to die for the right thing. And the one boy that you can't see his eyes, he even said, Usopp once said, we're not going to die. We're fighting to live. Like, I know that this is a conversation that can go much deeper, and it could take, it's not even something that you can finish in a 2-hour video. Moral philosophy is something that people have been talking about for thousands of years. So it's not like we're just going to sort it out now in this video or in any kind of discussion or talking in YouTube comments. We're not going to solve or figure out what is the right thing to do for everyone. There is no right thing for everyone, but I'm just saying that it makes no sense for me to give up your soul to sell someone for your own life or for even like 100 lives. You can't say, here, take this innocent person and spare us. That doesn't, no, it's not, I'd rather die trying to do the right thing than live long enough to see myself become a demon myself, become a corrupt person. I just can't. I can't sell my own soul. I believe if that village is a good village, if that village is a just village, if you ask them, would you want us to give up Kaya for your own lives, they wouldn't even want that. They'd want to at least fight for themselves, even if some of them may die. They deserve the right to fight for themselves. If that village says, yes, kill Kaya for us. We want to be safe. So kill Kaya, take her and leave us. Like, that is the same as in Dororo, when the anime, apparently the manga is different, but in the anime, they slaughter 30 kids, 30 orphans for their own safety. They slaughter those kids and feed it to a demon because the demon then promises to keep them safe. That town is doomed. People in the YouTube comments on the Dororo video, at least some of them are saying like, it's the right thing to do to sacrifice a couple of innocent lives to save the town as a whole. I don't understand how do you not see our world is fucked up because people argue like that? I'm not going to get too into this topic at this point. I'm sure the anime will probably... One Piece is so long, I think it'll touch on every single philosophy and moral whatever it can throughout these episodes. So I'm not going to talk about it too much now. But just know that I don't believe in utilitarianism. And I'm sure we're going to have more than enough time to discuss it in depth. Let me for now just continue my notes. Episode 15. Defeat Kuro, Usopp's tear-filled determination. I'm pretty sure I saw the title. Usually I look away. But I'm pretty sure I saw the title of this episode and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the episode where they defeat Kuro. And in fact, it was not. So I absolutely love how the kids didn't want to run away in this episode. They were so determined to fight the bad guy. Usopp is really an amazing guy to have inspired these 3 little kids to be such good people. Those 3 little kids are better people than most adults in real life. I think people who watch One Piece have to be mostly really good people. In the same way that Usopp inspired these kids to be brave for what is right, I think One Piece is the kind of anime that inspires people to be better versions of themselves too. because we look up to characters like Luffy, like Zoro. Even if we don't realize it, I think watching these characters and on their journey, learning from them affects our daily lives, affects the decisions that we make, and affects how we see ourselves. We might not be, it might not be very obvious, but I think it affects us more than we realize. And that's why I say that people who watch One Piece and care about One Piece, they have to be good people in real life, because you can't look up to these characters and not somehow let them influence you positively in your everyday life. I often read people say in my comment section, I can't wait until she falls in love with One Piece. And I can only laugh because I am already in love with One Piece. I fell in love with it the moment I heard Luffy say, it's not about possible or impossible, it's what I want to do. And that was said in episode 1. So I've literally been in love with this anime from episode 1. Here's a very short note that I made. The fight scenes with the Zoro versus Butchie and Luffy versus Kuro were really amazing in this episode, and they were really amazing in all 3 of these episodes. I've already mentioned the fight scenes, the animation of the action, it's all just great. It's been really great to see, and even though it's older, it actually the fact that it's an older anime and that it's in this older style, it's actually a charm in and of itself, and makes it that much more enjoyable compared to all these newer anime with this god tier animation. I think this is enjoyable exactly because it is what it is, you know? Okay, and here starts my thoughts on Django. I have a lot of thoughts on Django. So, also, I think I'm a little biased. I really liked Django at the start and felt so betrayed when I found out he was working with the villainous Kuro. But I'm literally clinging to the hope that I am right about him and he doesn't really want to work with Kuro, but he knows if he doesn't work with Kuro, he'll be killed. So I'm kind of hoping that he doesn't want to be a bad guy, but he is a bad guy because Kuro kind of forces him to be. Then I wrote, that doesn't excuse his actions, of course, but I do hope that after they defeat Kuro, he will become a good pirate. Ha ha ha, if there even really is such a thing. But I mean, Luffy is kind of my idea of a good pirate. The little I know of Shanks, he's kind of like my idea of a good pirate. I don't know yet. I don't know enough to really understand what it means to be a pirate. What is a good pirate? What is a bad pirate? I know there's not really a good and a bad. It's not black and white. It's on a spectrum. Like there's gray areas, a lot of them. You know, no one's perfect. No one's pure evil. Although Kurahadol comes pretty close. And then you can see how while I was typing, my mind's still working because I changed my train of thought and it goes, but I doubt it since the Nyaa brothers mentioned they were pillaging villages while Kuro was on the island for those 3 years. I guess I just have to accept that Django's a bad guy. Maybe not as horrible as Kuro, but he's certainly not a good pirate. Okay, episode 16. Protect Kaya. Usopp. Pirate gang takes action. So I'm actually going through these notes pretty fast. I like that the whole writing my notes before doing my review thing, because my review ends up being a little bit more structured. Mostly what I do is I talk and digress, and that's why it sometimes gets so long and diverges from the point, like I'm doing now. But yeah, I hope you don't feel like I'm rushing through it, but I want to make sure that you don't get bored listening to me. I want to get to the point. I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying, so that you guys can share your thoughts cohesively in the comment section as well, because that's the best way to have a constructive conversation, is when, you know, we make sense for each other. And since English isn't my first language, I value consistency. I value getting to the point, because I feel like it makes me easier to understand for you guys. Okay. Throughout episode 16, I kept wondering whether Django is really not able to find the kids, or if he's just delaying it all on purpose because he doesn't really want to do this. I think I've come to the conclusion that although I do think he is scared of Kuro and is being forced to do a lot of bad things, I also can't deny that he's definitely a bad pirate. Not bad at being a pirate, but you know what I mean. I don't know how to explain it, so let me try and explain it. So, like, I want to believe that he's like, remember in episode 15, I think, when he kind of let them get away, and then he had to be reminded by Kuro, hey, go get them. And then he said, oh, sorry, I spaced spaced out for a bit there, or I blanked out. So he basically gave them a head start. And stuff like that make me really feel like he's letting them get away. He doesn't want to be a bad guy. But then other things happen that make me think like, no, he's a bad guy. So it's really confusing. And here's another thing. But things like Kaya being able to grab his weapon from out of his hand really make me believe he let her do it. I mean, she literally, he was standing right in front of her and she kind of moved closer and grabbed his weapon. Like, how did he not see that if he's this ruthless pirate? He even mentioned to the kids, "You're underestimating me. I'm a real pirate." Like, he's ruthless, but we do underestimate him because he comes across as this likable character. Anyway, as I said, it's so hard to measure up his character, to be honest. It keeps throwing me off. I think one thing, but then he does something that makes me think something else. I'll just have to wait and see. Whatever happens though, he's still a bad guy who has done bad things, and although I like him a lot, nothing will change the fact that he's a criminal. Sad, but true. And here comes my further thoughts on Nami. Remember in episode 14, I said like, oh, well, I'm kind of liking her this episode. Yay, Nami. And then episode 15 and then episode 16 happened, and now I'm thinking this. I still don't like Nami all that much, although I'm really trying to. But, being injured and yet still focusing on stealing the treasure while her crewmates are fighting for their lives and the lives of the townspeople, it just doesn't sit too well with me. I understand that there are a lot of excuses for it, like she wouldn't have been able to do anything anyway because she was hurt, and she trusted that Zoro and Luffy would be able to defeat Kuro, Django, and everyone else, so she had a lot of faith in her nakama. But still, when I look at how hard those kids are fighting for what is right, despite how scared they were and how easy it could have been for them to hand Kaya over and to run away, I guess my standards are just a little bit too high. Nami is cute and smart and sometimes funny, so it's not like I dislike her. It's just that I also don't like her all that much. I know there's gonna be people in the comments again trying to explain like I don't understand Nami yet, and actually those are the things that make her special and unique. But that's what makes her special and unique for you. We're not all going to relate to the same characters, and that's what makes watching anime fun. We relate to different anime, we relate to different characters, and at this point, that's how I feel. I do want to point out that I really appreciate some people in the comments, and most people in the comments saying, don't worry about it. Like, even if they like Nami, they don't try and convince me to like her. You know, they don't make me feel like, oh, but you just don't understand her, and like, I really appreciate people like that can be okay with someone not loving a character they like. And the funny thing is that those people that write these lengthy comments about how I don't understand her character and why she is this and that and why I should be liking her, and it actually makes me less likely to open up to her character and like her. So remember in the future, not just with reactors, but when you're talking to friends about anime and you want them to like a character you like, you can explain like, oh, I like this character for these reasons. But the moment that you try and say, you should actually think about this character in this way, you're closing them off to it. And that makes them just less likely to like them in the future anyway. And even if you don't try and convince them of anything, and they end up not liking the character, you'll have to be okay with that too. Because, I don't know, sometimes we just don't relate to characters, and that's fine. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of anime that I love that a lot of you don't love, and there's a lot of anime that you love that I don't love, and we can talk about why we love the anime we love without trying to kind of shove it down someone else's throat. That's a really not a great way to put it, and I'm sorry if I'm coming off too strong right now. I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that I am trying to like Nami, I am trying to look at her strong points, but at this point, I don't feel like they compensate for the parts that I don't like yet. Okay, next thought. Kaya really surprised me in this episode 16, being willing to kill herself to protect those children. She's not the strongest character mentally or physically, but she did what she had She did what she could do to keep the people she cares for safe. She used what she had at her disposal to try and bargain for the lives of others, you know? What I mean with Kaya not being physically or mentally strong is that she's clearly frail to the point where she was basically bedridden, and that's why Usopp came to visit her by her window and told her all these stories to kind of build her up and make her happy. I'm not sure if this is mentioned in the anime or the manga. Maybe I missed something, but I have a theory. It was shown in a flashback that Kaya was outside watering the flowers. She looked really happy. It was while her parents were still alive. And this was when Kurahadol arrived at her parents' front gate, the mansion. So I don't think she was sick before her parents' death. I'm not sure if that was mentioned. Maybe she was sick. Maybe she was a sickly child. But the fact that she was outside and she looked so happy, it just made me think like she wasn't as frail as she is now. Wait for my theory part. So after her parents died, she was understandably distraught. Losing her parents is a tragedy that few kids have to go through at such a young age. I believe Kuro cultivated her sadness and emotionally manipulated her to remain in a state of depression, so that she was almost like dependent on him. He said he sheltered her because he wanted to protect her, but in fact he just wanted to keep her away from anything or anyone that could strengthen her spirit, including Usopp. It is, after all, much easier to control or trick someone into trusting you when they are mentally broken. And the more weak she was in her state of mind, the more weak she would be physically. Because it's kind of like common sense. When you're depressed, you eat less, you're not in the mood to like exercise or walk around or breathe deeply. So all of that affects your body and makes you weaker. And over the course of 2 years, you can think if someone is in that state of mind, how frail and weak their body could be. Even if she was a frail person before, I think that he worsened it by keeping her in that state of mind, by manipulating her into almost staying depressed about her parents. I mean, I know it takes a long time. You never really get over something like that, but I feel like he brought it up at every moment and talked about it a lot. So he kind of kept it in her mind, like, she's sad about her parents, she's sad about her parents, she's sad about her parents, she's alone, you know, she's dependent on him, and it kept her sad, and it made her weak, and that's why it was just easier for him to carry out his plan that way. I wrote down, all of this just made it easier for Kuro to carry out his plan without any hindrances. At least that's what I think. Last note. Apparently in the 4Kids version, Django's dialogue was edited to make it look like his weapon had a mind of its own and was trying to attack Kaya. So the part where she was holding it up to her own neck, I think was edited to look like she was trying to keep it away. Like it had a mind of its own and it was trying to kill her. That's what I assume from the text. This was done to avoid referencing Kaya's threat of committing suicide if he continued to attack the Usopp pirates. I don't really like censoring of such things in the anime, and I'm glad that the version I'm watching didn't do that, but I think it still censors a lot compared to the manga, because someone commented on one of my videos and said that it's a lot more bloody or realistic in the manga. I'm not sure if that's the right way to put it. Maybe the right word is graphic. The manga is more graphic, and I actually prefer that because seeing stuff like a gun in Kaya's hand, seeing her willing to commit suicide, like those kind of intense feelings, seeing blood on Kurahadol's claw stuff, it just intensifies the scene, because that's the reality. I know it's supposed to be made easier for kids because, I don't know, it's the anime was probably supposed to be like a kid show, but if you think about One Piece and the message it's already imparting, it's not a kid show. You can show it to kids, but I think even with Harry Potter, I don't know if you guys are Harry Potter fans, but there's like a kid-friendly Harry Potter version, and then there's books for adults, because life is just sometimes so much more graphic. Feelings are just so much deeper in real life. Meant for kids, you can't show all of that because you don't want to expose kids to the nitty-gritty, ugly parts of life. But maybe it wouldn't be so bad to stop trying to hide the truth from kids. I don't know. I guess that's something we could talk about. Like, should we shelter kids so much? I don't know. That's a long conversation for another day, because I'm sure people have different opinions on that as well. Like, what age can you start showing kids this kind of anime, and at what age should they be allowed to see bloody things? Like, and movies have, you know, ratings, parental guidance, PG-13. Movies have that stuff for a reason. But I mean, who decided those things? And should we maybe rethink them at some point in time? Like, is PG-13, are 13-year-olds still not allowed to see certain things? Like, don't we change as a community? Don't we mature earlier now? Don't we mature later? Like, these things should be talked about. We don't just make a rule once and then it's a rule forever. We as a global community changes, and maybe what was right 20 years ago isn't right today. Maybe we should show kids more stuff. Maybe that'll prepare them more for the world outside. Maybe it will make them more compassionate. Maybe we should censor more things. I don't know. Censorship, in my opinion, is just not really ever a good thing. But you also can't take it too far, because that's not always necessary either. So there's a very fine balance, and it's an interesting discussion. But what I specifically want to say about that is I like knowing that the manga is more graphic, and I'll probably want to pick it up at some point, because I prefer... I'm not necessarily into gore and blood and guts flying, but I don't like censorship too much. Like, I want to see the blood on Kurahadol's... I keep forgetting the word claws. For example, when Shanks, his arm got pulled off, bit off, whatever had happened. I would have liked to see, you know, blood. Like, it looked like a Ken doll with his arm just boop, went off. I would have liked to see it. It would have made that scene even more... In Afrikaans, the word is treffend. I don't know what the word in English is. Let's actually Google it. Treffend. Impactful. Striking. Oh, fuck. Impactful or striking can both work. If that scene was just a little bit more graphic, I think it would have had more of an impact. It would have been more striking. But I don't know. I don't have time at this point to read the manga. Maybe one day. Maybe after I'm like 3 years in. If I keep at the pace that I'm going now, I'd probably catch up with the amount of episodes that are out right now in about 3 years. 3.5 years. I'm in no rush. I've mentioned before, I'm in no rush to finish this. People that have been with this, some people have been with this anime for 20 years. Some of you for 10 years, 7 years. I'm not going to catch up to the anime and then only have one to watch per week. I prefer doing it at my own pace. I like watching anime weekly. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just not the kind of person that can binge watch. I'm not the kind of person that can rush anime. And yeah, I'm really having fun with my One Piece pace. But sadly, I don't think there will be time anytime soon to read the manga, but maybe one day. I'd like to know, is there anyone here that are both anime watchers and manga readers? And do you think that the manga is a lot more graphic compared to the anime, or just like a little bit more? That's it from me today. Just another big thank you to Blackblade for being a little for Patreon. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing out my thoughts, watching my review, watching my reaction highlights. I'll see you guys in the next One Piece video, which should be this Saturday. See you guys next time. Bye!